Welcome everybody to the second Q&A for the CCCRL. I'm your host, Rob Cardno. I'm very excited to do this one today. The first Q&A, we went over kind of some of the nuts and bolts of how Co-Operative works. Along the way, we kind of want to show you guys what we're doing and how things are going to work. Today, we are super excited. We get to talk to two real stars of the game. The first guy is someone I genuinely miss. He's one of the greatest guys I think you can have on a team. I think if you polled the Toronto Wolfpack staff and said, hey, you got to pick one guy to represent the team, who is it? I'm pretty sure it's going to be him. It's Ashton Sims. How are you, buddy?
Thank you very much, Rob. Good to see you. I'm very humbled by those words. And I miss you too, man. I miss you guys over in Canada, especially the Rockin' Horse. I still miss those couple of nights out there.
Ashton had a super long career in a couple countries. We're going to talk to him about that as well. You got a new thing going on. Why don't you tell us quickly about it? It's the G7. You're the new director. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I've just come on board as the football operations manager of the Group 7 competition here in Australia, in New South Wales. Very hard to say goodbye to the mental health movement. It's something I'm very passionate about, and something I'll always be passionate about is looking after, helping people be proactive in looking after their mental health and well-being. But this role in rugby league, it was a role that I've been looking for. I wanted to do after I finished rugby league, and it's come a little bit quicker than I thought. And I'll always have one foot in the camp in the mental health space, because I understand how important it is for individuals, but also understand how important it has been in these times of COVID. So I'm very excited by the role. Look, it's about looking after the growth and sustainability of the competition, and understanding from the grassroots level all the way up to the senior level is something I'm very thrilled to be able to do, and proud to be going on this new journey.
Okay, so we're definitely going to talk a little bit about the mental side of the game, because the next guest is involved in that as well. He's a name that I kept hearing and reading about all the time, so I'm really excited to meet him. He's a former Super League star, former captain of the Leeds Rhinos. His career was cut short due to injury, unfortunately, but he was racking up some team and individual accomplishments along the way. Please welcome Stevie Ward. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you, pal. Nice to finally see you in real life. It's great to be on, and I'm looking forward to this chat. I've never actually spoke with Ashton before. I've seen him play. I've seen the way he conducted himself on the field, and how heavy he's gone into the mental health side of it, which I'm obviously flipping in that world all the time. So I'm looking forward to this chat.
Stevie, I was just looking up some of your bio really quick, and then I saw the mentality. Originally, I thought it was a typo. I thought maybe you were talking about Ryan Bailey or something like that with mentality. But why don't you tell us what mentality is and how that started?
Oh, mate, that's something I started. It's 5 years ago now, in 2016. I was out with an ACL for about 12 months, and I sort of had my head up and sort of understanding where I was in that span of injury for 12 months. And I'd be finishing at 10:30, 11 a.m. and I'd be finishing my day and sort of thinking, well, what do I do with myself now? And I had loads of anxiety, I had loads of energy that I needed to do something with. And I decided to launch Mentality, which in essence, at the start, was an online magazine dealing with mental health, dealing with all the things that we experience as rugby players and as people. And I just thought that we didn't speak about mental health back then at all. It was like the elephant in the room, and it was something that I'd suffered with before that, through injury, through not competing, playing rugby. And so I decided to put Mentality out there and sort of discover a whole new world entirely, that we never spoken about, never taught about as young players coming up the ranks. And yeah, it definitely changed. It's changed my life. One of the defining moments in my life, and it's something that now I've finished playing. It's something that I continue to go forward with and continue to find out more about that world, find out more about myself, and hopefully that sort of world, that side of it, is going to collide with rugby league the way that I think it should do with the CCCRL.
So I don't know if I mentioned, but you are the director of welfare for the CCCRL and safety. I mean, it kind of says it all, but maybe just quickly mention, like you just said, what kind of things will you be doing for the?
Yeah, so Ashton will know about the welfare work that's been done in the NRL and the RFL, and that was sort of added on. We got to a stage where we really needed it. A number of years ago, we needed welfare strategy, we needed welfare officers, we needed that side of being a human being catered for. And I'm so excited to be the director of welfare for the CCCRL, because it's not just going to be added on to something that's been going for years and years and years. It's going to be woven into rugby league as we go, as we sort of build the CCCRL. It's going to be so present and it's going to be so important. And I've devised the welfare strategy with John Bell, who's just literally completed his dissertation on vulnerability, or the issue of vulnerability in rugby league. So it's going to be very thorough, and it's going to be just as important as the physical side of things as we go forward.
So Ashton, you have actually worked in similar roles yourself. Rugby league's a real physical game. Stevie talked about dealing with injuries when he was young. So obviously, yes, this is something you introduce to kids. How do you prepare kids not just for the physical challenges they're going to come up against, but the mental ones as well?
Well, obviously, like anything rugby league, there are going to be your ups and downs. There are going to be high and lows. There are going to be ebbs and flows, but not just in rugby league, but that's in life. And going through and experiencing those things, that's what builds that mental resilience in a lot of people. And people feel like, if you're going through a bad time, that, there's nowhere else to turn to. But, when we're going through those tough times, like we are at the moment with COVID-19, I know that I understand there are different protocols in different countries, but the one thing that we can do that'll help us with our mental health, with our mental well-being there, is actually talking to people. He's actually reaching out. He's actually staying connected. We talk about how we're doing it here. We can't see each other face to face in certain countries, but we can jump on a Zoom link. We can jump on a mobile phone. We can send that text. We can ask those questions. Are you okay? If there's anything else you can do, if I can do, just let me know. And look, it is, when it comes back to rugby league, yeah, it is a very physical game. You need to be on your, you need to be at your peak physicality week in, week out. And at the end of the day, people go into games not feeling 100%. I don't think and Stevie probably agree with me on this. No one plays 100%, whether you're playing in the club games or out there in the professional ranks, because you're always going to pick up little injuries. You're always going to pick up little knocks here and there, but it's the mental game. It's the mentality that helps you get through that. Understanding that it is okay to go through hard times. It is okay to seek support for your mental health, but also through your physical health there as well. And that's why I love what Stevie does there at the mentality is he said it in no uncertain circumstances. He's breaking down that negative stigma. Breaking down that negative stigma that's still attached to the mental health space. Understanding that it is okay to go through tough times. It is okay to go through struggles. Because going through struggles, going through tough times, that's all part of the human experience. Yeah. But you know what? It is also okay to put your hand up to seek support. Seeking support doesn't make you less of a man, less of a woman, less of a brother, less of a sister, less of a person, less of a man, less of a woman. Seeking support just means you want to be doing better than you currently are. And you know what? Who of us don't? Seeking support has helped me through some of my toughest times in my life. And I'm certainly with Stevie in that ilk is, breaking down the stigma of actually people thinking, if I reach out and seek support, I'm a coward, or I'm less of a man or less of a woman. It's absolute bullshit. Seeking support, reaching out, talking about your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions to people sometimes helps alleviate that stress, that anxiety, that feeling of the world, pounding down on your chest, and actually getting the appropriate support that you may need for what you're going through.
Stevie, let me throw it back to you. You came up, I think Ashton, you did as well, but Stevie, you came up very, very young. You're playing at a high level, very young. Like, how does the team prepare you for that? You're 17 or 18 coming in, and it's got to be, you're playing in front of a huge crowd. You're a young kid. Does the team have people on staff to kind of help you through that, or is it just swim or sink?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. You could do a little bit of both. In my debut year, I was juggling my A levels at the same time, so I was studying from 16 to 18, and I'd gone full time at 17. So the days that I had was going over to do a gym session at 6 a.m. in Kirksville, or the other side of the city for me, coming back, doing a full day at college, and then going back on the evening to do more training. So it was a real sort of, it was into like a meteoric sort of rise. I'd sort of done the studies, done my A-levels, and a few weeks later I was playing at Wembley at standoff in front of 80,000 people. And I can remember actually thinking back and reflecting, I can remember feeling the most nervous I've ever felt at that time. We're 18 years old, we're playing one of the most important positions in the field. And it was in a game where we'd not won a Challenge Cup for so many years, despite being at finals. And I think I relied upon my resilience to strength from what I'd done previous to that. But you know, once you get into the professional game and you understand the pressure, they understand how much is riding on it. I can remember I'd gone to the toilet and I was feeling dizzy, I was feeling nervous, and it was up to me really to pull it out of the bag. And I've come across so many things which you can help to alleviate stress. As Ashton said, talking about it, being able to talk about your nerves and being able to offload that, alleviates it for you. You almost need to know the biggest fear around it. And I think as rugby players, and especially when I was younger, I've been making all the decisions, all of the effort was to not give in, and it was to resist the nerves, to resist feeling like I didn't have it under control. But when you get older and when you learn a bit more about how you work, how your mind works, and how a human mind works, there's tactics that you can use that brings your central nervous system right down, whether that's box breathing, meditation, Wim Hof breathing, but also talking about the worst case scenario. And that's a tool that a lot of top sports psychiatrists use, because it's just alleviating that pressure, alleviating the worst case scenario. And once you've understood it, you spoke through it, and you think, well, even if I do lose, even if I do come out of this not playing as I wanted to, well, I'll still survive. I'll still know what I'm doing. I'm still going to have next week to get better. And I think contrasting my late sort of career to how I was originally, there's a lot more mindset, a lot more conscious control about how entering these games. But I'd had to pick that up along the way. As a young lad, I thought there's so much more to our mindset, so much more to mental health than we even speak about. So as a short answer, mate, I had to sort of do a lot of it myself and understand a lot of it myself. We didn't have a sports psychiatrist or sports psychologist with us in those years. It was sort of like finding out for yourself, and that's something I hope to change with CCCRL.
And just in relation to that, Steve, if you don't mind me jumping in, Rob, it is okay to be nervous, isn't it? Like nerves actually means that you care about your performance. It means that you want to do well, and it kicks in that sympathetic nervous system. It's that fight, flight, or freeze. And that's where a lot of people, they use that nerves, they use that anxiety for performance. So it can work, it can work in a good way there too. Exactly what you were saying.
That's it. And I think as well, like that, it relates to everyday life. I think as men, we resist the anxiety, or we resist the depression, the low moods, and we feel like we don't allow ourselves to feel it. And that's in our control. Like the control we have is how we respond to how we feel, and how we respond to setbacks on the field, setbacks in life. That's what we can control. We can't control the ebbs and flows, like you said, Ashton. But it's almost like we're asking rugby league players to be a bit kinder to ourselves, to just accept that we can be vulnerable. And it's a bit of a paradox, because if you do that, you're more ready for the game, you're going to be better in the game, you're going to be stronger in the game. But you've got to take a step backward almost to go another 2-3 steps forward.
Accepting and knowledge is it's so powerful, man.
I know in so American football, even at a low level, the coaching style was war. You were going to battle. You have a lifetime to heal. I gotta imagine rugby league's pretty similar. How do you balance the two? Where you have a coach that's like, you got to go out there and be physical and put your body on the line. At the same time, you do have to consider your long-term impact, right?
Look, absolutely. Look, there is a time and place for that real, war mentality, because at the end of the day, it is man versus man. It's my will versus your will. I want to get over the top of you. You want to get over the top of me. But coaching has evolved, and it has become different over time. It's a lot more tactical now, a lot more than that. You just go out there, you just run as hard as you can, tackle as hard as you can, because that works up until a point. Mike, I always go back to the old Mike Tyson saying, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, in rugby league, you're running into, 17 stone blokes, 3 or 4 at a time, and you're going to get hit, you're going to get hurt. But it's about understanding that, going through those adversities are all part of playing rugby league, but going through adversity is all part of life as well. And look, I don't want to throw a heap of cliches out there, but it's about getting knocked down 7 times, getting up 8. You've got to go through tough times. You've got to go through these hard times, but it is okay to go through those. And how do you get through those in a game? By teammates, by having teammates around you who can help you through those tough times. And it's no different in life. So, look, Rob, yeah, there is that there is also that, you've got to pull your socks up, grit your teeth. You've got to cut that pigskin as hard as you can at times. But there's a lot more smarts that are coming in the game, because that kind of rugby league is getting faded out, especially with over here in the NRL. The replacements are going to 8 to 6 next year, where it's the big 120 kilo blokes. It's not going to be the time and place. The games evolve, the games change, and we need to change and evolve our thought process around certain parts of playing rugby league.
So, Stevie, let me ask you something. So you said you had an injury, which was a physical injury. I know the first time I hurt my body, I actually got quite depressed, because your vehicle's broken, and especially if you rely on your physicality, it really can depress you. So I think there's a lot of areas of mental welfare, isn't there? You can be depressed going into a game, you can get a physical injury and get depressed, and you can get a head injury and get depressed, or you can have family problems and get depressed, right? So how is it that you help people, or how do you see different guys with different issues, and you got to deal with them in different ways, I suppose?
I think, because there's so much about talking and confronting it with yourself and being able to speak about it when you're dealing with an issue. But I also think the progression where we need to go is an understanding from coaches, an understanding from welfare officers, from other players, that when someone is injured for 6 to 8 months, whatever injury that is, that they should be more conscious, more proactive. There should be a more proactive environment for when someone is having a setback, whatever that is, on the field or off the field. And that support network should be around them. And one thing that is within the welfare strategy is player-to-player support. So we would have practices of vulnerability. We would have open, trusting conversations with each other to build that into the fabric of the league, the teams within the league, and the players. You want to become better humans, more caring, stronger, mentally stronger, more resilient. And I just think if you can build a system where it's not just the player that's struggling that has to make such a massive jump to approach it and accept it, but also the people around them, that's within the system, that's just as normal as doing extras on the field. But the conversations and approaching the subject of mental health is just as usual and as seen to be as normal as doing extras on the field. I think that's the progression now. I think we're speaking about the stigma. We're going beyond stigma, which is obviously the tagline for Mentality, and it's about the activity beyond that stigma. Once we get above it, once we get better to deal with it, it's like, who can muck in to help out and sort of bring out what we need to bring.
Hey, Ashton, you are a big family guy, and your family's obviously played. What is it like on the family watching you play? I mean, do they get concerned about your injuries? Like, how do you deal with that side of it?
Oh, look, I suppose you'd have to ask them, but I always make sure that, look, this is dad or husband going to do his job. I've prepared my body, I've prepared my mind all my life for these moments, and that was one thing I always reassured him is, going through those tough times, going through injuries, going through the good times and the bad times, it is all part of rugby league. And I've had my wife, she's been with me for 18 years, coming on 19 years now, and she's ridden all the highs and the lows that I've gone through. And my eldest son, he's 12, and my youngest daughter, she's 4, and they've seen the highs and lows of rugby league. But look, that's all a part of life, and I make that very, very clear. I'm very transparent with my messages to my kids. Sometimes I do feel like a pushy parent, or I feel like I might give them a little bit too much, but I've got to let them understand that life's not all rainbows and lollipops. It's not all good times, and they've got to understand that it is okay to fall down, but I'm going to be there to help pick you up, but I'm not going to pick you up. I want you to jump up on your own 2 feet yourself, and just know that Dad's always going to be there, because they've always been there for me.
Is the 12-year-old playing?
He is. Yeah. He's playing down here, but they're not playing at the moment because of the updated COVID restrictions here. But he absolutely loves it. He's in the centres, which is a pretty smart move. I told him not to get in the middle, get in the forwards. So he's loving it. He absolutely loves it, man. He's got the big, long, blonde locks. He's scored a couple of good tries this year, and he's it's just good to see him. I feel sorry for him in a way the most because, you know, he was born in Queensland here in Australia. He went to school for 1 year here in Australia. Then we went over to the UK to Warrington, and he went to school for 4 years there in Warrington, made some really good friends. And then we've you know, picked him up, and he's had to move back here to go to a new school in New South Wales. He always says I'm his heroes himself. Well, I think he says me, but he goes for Tarek now, which I don't blame him for. But look, he's a real hero of mine because, you know, he's had to go through adversity. He's had to pick up and leave from schools to schools, and the same with my wife as well. We've moved from here, there, and everywhere, and she's followed me all around. And now it's good to be able to just, you know, get a little bit of a base here, bring up the kids. We're only about 100 metres away from the beach, which is nice. They're living that lifestyle that I grew up living, and you know, I'm very happy back here in Australia. But I won't lie, there's certain aspects I miss about the UK and about Canada. Obviously, the Euros were just on, and watching everyone celebrating the Euros, even though the final wasn't the desired result. But, you know, seeing everyone being united together, that's one thing that I can honestly say the English people, look, some of my best friends are English. I still stay in contact with them to this day, and they know how to enjoy themselves, but they're a very loyal culture, very loyal countrymen there.
Okay, I got a social media question here, maybe for Stevie. I'll condense it a little bit here. It's basically about the lockdown and financial support. There was like limited support, I think, for a lot of players. Obviously, this was pretty unprecedented, so people didn't know what to do. But there was players left, you know, hanging in the UK and not able to get home. Some other leagues kind of like, you know, helped out their players. Like, what can Rugby League do to capture this gap with what we've learned? You know, it may not be the last time players are stranded. So Stevie, like, what can you do, support services and conditions in place so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again?
Yeah, and it's a good question, that, because what I think we're visiting now with the European Super League fallout that happened with the football, and as you say, the Super League running under their own rules, guidelines, and owners have got a lot of control and saying what goes on, you know, and that's how it's just been run. You know, that's sort of the way that it's been done. The NRL's got an independent sort of commission that helps run that, which is sort of like coming away from specific and unique interests of certain teams, certain clubs, running it for the game as a whole. And I think the way that we're going to do the CCCRL really allows for those shifts and calls to be made from the dynamic situations that you've got going on with COVID, you know, with these unprecedented situations, because fans and members are going to have a massive say on what happens within the league, what happens for the players, for the teams, for their own sort of interests, I guess, as well, which is so different. It's so unique. And I think the fact that we're going to have fans having a say and a not-for-profit organisation, I must stress that, because it's something that's being built because we know the good that Rugby League can bring. It will continue in the same vein. You know, if players need support, if there is something that happens, a unique situation, then I imagine that the power is in everyone's hands to make the right decision and the best decision for whoever's struggling. So I hope that answers the question. But it's obviously taking each call and decision as it comes, really.
Okay, Stevie, let me ask you one more thing about mental health, then we'll move on from this. You did retire because of concussions. Had you had concussions earlier in your career, or was this maybe minor ones? Was this the first one? I mean, so like, I think like, you know, 10, 15 years ago when the first athletes started retiring for head injuries, people almost mocked them. Like, what are you doing? You know, you got careers to go. Like, so it's becoming more common now, but maybe just walk us through that. Like, how, you know, what were your thoughts? Did you think you were going to get back on the field? Like, at what point were you like, this is it?
Yeah, I've had about 9 diagnosed concussions, and that's diagnosed, because I think I've had a lot more than that, but I've had 9 where I've gone to see neurologists, specialists. I mean, as I'm talking now, I need to slow down talking because my brain starts burning and hurting when I'm going too fast. That's where I'm at the minute with migraines and dizziness and light sensitivity and screen sensitivity. But I remember in 2018, I had a really big one, and that was, I don't know whether that broke the seal in some sort of way. I'd got knocked out and I'd played the second half as well after it. And I think that, you know, those symptoms that I had then were a lighter shade of what I've got now. And, you know, you keep adding the knocks, you keep adding the wax to your head. And then it's something that's turned into what is now around 18 months of concussion. And the writing on the wall for me was last summer, when everyone came back after COVID and I was still not anywhere near. And that were about 6 months after 2 concussions that I'd suffered at the start of 2020. And I've spoken to so many players in and around this that have had these symptoms and they've carried on, and they've asked me, you know, about my situation. They spoke to me about what they suffered with in the back playing, and it's hopefully, if I can take any purpose out of it, that it's shining a bit of a light on brain injuries and what can happen and how someone can deal with it. They don't have to feel like it's the only thing that they do, and they've got to look after their brains, look after themselves. And a lot of the time, I put my physical health and brain health secondary to making sure no one got past me on the field, you know. And that's just one of the ways that a lot of rugby league players play the game. So yeah, it's, you know, I think we're waking up and the culture's shifting somewhat, with 2 Sydney Rooster players that have retired with concussion, and there's some rugby union players, and it's really opening up, and there's going to be lots of change over the next year, I think, in terms of how much contact and how we look at concussions and brain injuries too.
Hey, Ashton, maybe I'll switch a little bit to the physical side of it. How tough is it on your body? So let's say you're 20 games into a year, you just played a game. Like, what does it feel like? Do certain parts hurt more than others?
Oh, most certainly. Look, like I said before, you know, you're running into 3 or 4 17-stone guys, you know, in one time, and they want to rip your head off, and you want to try and get down and play the ball as quick as you can. You're trying to run through there, so it's a mini car crash every single time you're running the ball. But look, and it does take a toll on your body, especially if you start playing a lot of games. You know, Stevie's played a lot of games. I've played a lot of games myself, and you know, right towards the end of your career, the recovery is so important. I think I read a really good article on LeBron James. I know I regress. I'm not comparing ourselves with LeBron James, but he spends tens of millions of dollars on recovery every single year. He's 36 and he's still running around like a 25-year-old. And that's where, you know, the mental side, the recovery side, it is truly so important the later you get on in your career, but not just later in your career, you know, start early. Stevie said a brilliant word before, which I absolutely love. It's that proactive. You know, proactive early intervention leads to better outcomes. Before shit hits the fan in life, whether it's rugby league, football, you know, in your work life, you're looking after your mental health. Let's put protocols, let's put elements in place on a daily basis to look after ourselves so we can perform at our best, whether it's on the field, whether it's in work, life, social, whatever it is. So it is vital, because again, it's like mini car crashes every single time you're running the ball. But the back's a little bit sore, my knees have gone. I can't really run too well at the moment, but ask me would I all do it again tomorrow? You bet your ass I would.
Okay, Stevie. Let me ask you. I think you caught the end of Kevin Sinfield or whatever, who's got 500+ games, and I looked. He's still only 40, and he retired 5 years ago. Is it too many games? Like, instead of playing 35 a year, would it be better to sit guys and have them play 27 a year, and then maybe they get to play till they're 39 instead of retiring at 35? Has anyone discussed that? Like, just bringing guys in and out, or is there just not enough quality players and you need to win every week? Like,
I mean, I reckon there's enough quality if the salary cap was bigger and clubs could afford. We're talking Super League here, obviously. The clubs could afford such depth. That would be better for everyone. You know, with the amount of games, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. Ashton's mentioned it there about how your body feels after a game. We've had fellas play 4 games in 11 days just recently. And you're talking about flipping how many car crashes in the space of 11 days, 2 weeks there. And it's, that's probably not good for brain health, probably not good for physical health, but it's where it's at. We're meeting the requirement for TV coverage and fulfilling the quota to get the money to keep coming in. I'd say to play less games, to have more quality and less quantity, but it comes down to money. It comes down to filling that quota. But yeah, I think basically we do need to assess that. It's something that we'll be able to assess with the CCCRL. And it's something which is so important. There's so many games that I played and making 50, 55 tackles and carrying it 15 times. I'd get home, or I'd slowly be seizing up. I'd be like 21, 22. I'd be hardly able to get up out of bed the next day. I'd literally, my weekend would be a write-off. And then you go again Monday. Sometimes you're doing more contact on Monday. And if you've got these games that are squeezed together, you really are pushing the limit. You really are pushing the limit to exhaustion. And that's just whether you want to get the quality or if you want to preserve your career. There's got to be more players and less games. I mean, that'd be the same for me. There's so many intricate details that need considering, and there's obviously a reason for why games are being crammed in.
Hey Ash, what's physically and mentally, what would you do to prepare yourself for a game? Did it change over your career? Were there little techniques you had before a game? Did you sit quietly? Did you listen to music? Like, what was your kind of pre-game to get you into?
Yeah, I was pretty anal with my pre-game rituals. So at the start of my career, I wasn't too fussed about it because I was a bit of a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. I was a young sort of 18-year-old tyro that just come in, just try to play aggressive, put some big shots on, run the ball as hard as I can, and then come off the field. But that only works up until a point, and you've got to be smart about it. There's got to be some cerebral element to how you're playing and how you preserve your body. So at about age sort of 25, 26, I realised how important my body was, and that's when I really started getting into the recovery protocols. I used to, I still do. I don't know why. I still stretch, nearly every second day or every day. When I was playing, I used to stretch all the time. Take Epsom salt baths. I'm big on supplements. I always have been. I don't know why. I'm just wired like that. I like taking obviously all legal supplements just to try and gain an edge on the opposition. But the mental game got into it big, especially around that sort of late 20s. And one of my big things was, I used to love doing, swimming, a mile on my day off, 1,500 meters, 1,600 meters on my day off, because I always thought that my opposition would be sleeping in bed, and I'd like to be working hard when my opposition's sleeping. And that was just little things that I did to get myself going, get myself prepared for the game. But once game day come around, I'd be nervous, yeah, absolutely. But what I used to do is write down three simple goals that I wanted to achieve that week, and then I always used to write down, what did you do this week to prepare to be at your best today? And I used to just go through my process. What I do, would I eat good? Would I do extra weights? Would I do extra swimming to perform at my best? And that was a really key element in me, prolonging my career to the age of sort of 34.
Okay, so this was actually a social media question. Ash, you kind of answered it. Ash, great to see your contribution. What's the best advice you can give to young athletes to prepare not only the body, but also the stresses of competition and the inevitable injuries? So maybe Stevie, same sort of question. Was there things you did off the field? Was there a sport or activity or a workout that you really liked? And did you have a pregame sort of mental ritual?
Yeah, I think when you're getting older and when there's more systems that you need to learn, when there's more tactics, there's more pressure, there's more input from other people around your coaches, I think you need to do the work to really dig deep into why you are playing the game. Sometimes that can get lost amongst losing 3 or 4 on the bounce. It can get lost amongst pressure. It can get lost amongst nerves. But something that I did all the time, every year, would sort of be revisiting my why for why I played the game. I understand why I played 6, 7 years old, 10 years old, and what it gave to me. The feeling of freedom when you're breaking a line and scoring a try, the feeling of accomplishment, the sense of reward that you'd get from making tackles for your mate and being able to look your teammate in the eye and know that you've done a job for them and they've got your back too. So I'd dig down pretty deep and I'd revisit my why for playing, which, you know, if you do that, you pick up on this sort of fuel, which, as Ashton said before, you get the edge over an opposition that's just thinking that they need to make this amount of tackles or this amount of stat. You need to make sure you're excited about what you bring to the team, why the team needs you, and that's something that you sort of, I think, you need to adopt as you're getting older, as you're playing the game, to sort of come away from the pressure. And I'd always sort of ask myself, what needs to be present in my life, present in me as a player, which allows me to be at the top of my game. What needs to be absent, so what I shouldn't be doing, what I shouldn't be worrying about, what I shouldn't be behaving like, and what's true to me. So, you know, a lot of that is the why. A lot of that is sort of how you feel training, how you feel going out, how you feel conducting yourself, if that feels true to you. And just using your own sort of compass as the measuring stick, you know, using your own sort of beliefs about yourself, your values, your purpose, and being able to come back to that in alignment with that. And that's when you're most powerful as a player and as a leader, as a captain. So that's something that I'd mention, to be able to keep revisiting those questions, to revisit your why, to add that extra fuel for why you're going to be a step further than your opposition.
Hey Ash, let me ask you about maybe heckling from the crowd or even social media. Does it bother players? Like, do you hear it? Any good ones you've heard?
Oh, I've heard plenty of good ones. I'm not sure how many I could say on this podcast, but especially over in the UK, I tell you what, they're a little bit more vocal than they are here in Australia. But look, you take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, some guys are different to others. Man, what I've seen, what I've gone through in my life, you know, being called names or being told I'm the shittest brother out of three, I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that, man, because, look, I wasn't the best footy player, but I just love to work hard. I love to enjoy myself, but I also love to look after my teammates. And that was pretty much the cornerstone of my career, you know, helping people the best I can. But oh, look, there are some really good ones out there. I won't lie. I got called the Fat Earl Crabtree at Headingley one day. I think the South Stand were chanting that for a good 80 minutes. I've been called everything, man. A long-haired gypsy. I've been an Aussie prick, and even at some of my own stadiums. I remember when I was an 18, 19-year-old at St. George Illawarra Dragons here. So a very proud team here in the NRL, and their fan base are very loyal, and they'll let you know what they think if they don't think you're up to par. And I remember 19 years old coming out. I used to have sort of short, in the middle of long and short curly hair. I looked like an absolute goose. And some guy just said, mate, you're not even worth going on that field. Go back to Gerringong. You're absolutely rat bag. And I took that on board a little bit, but the one thing about all that is, you know, you've got to have a bit of a laugh about it. You've got to take it with a grain of salt. These fans, they're paying their hard-earned money. You know, they're working their fingers to the bone from Monday to Friday to come out and watch you on Saturday or Sunday. And that's where, you know, you've got to respect that, but also, like what Stevie said, you've got to understand your why, understand what you're doing out there, understand your role in the team, and work into that to the best of your ability. And if you can walk off the field, you know, bloodied, bruised, you know, banged from pillar to post, and singing that team song at the end of the game, I don't think there's too many better feelings in life.
Don't forget your sister as well. Might be better than you.
She hits harder than me for sure, and so.
Stevie, I agree. The Brits might have some of the best, songs and chants in stadiums. Have you heard any good ones? Have you seen it affect players? Trash talking, or sorry, not trash talking, but trash talk from the fans. Yeah,
that's a good question. Luckily, I'm obviously a Leeds lad, and I used to be in the crowd singing those songs, chanting the songs about various different players. And I was just like, I can't wait till I get my own song. It was something that happened. You know what I mean? Like, this is class.
Yeah.
And it's like the Leeds fans are so loyal, dedicated, and they not just about the performance on the pitch, but they represent the character of people. You know, like there's the one for Brett Delaney, obviously this flipping Aussie that came over, knuckle dusters tattooed on the side of his head, and tattoos, you know, neck to toe. You know, and he fit I don't know, like a character role for the South Stand.
Yeah,
it's like that really brings it to life, you know, and it makes you proud when you're running on as a sub and the shouting your name. And for Delaney, it was Delaney, oh Delaney. He's from Australia, he'll fucking murder you. And that's unique. That I don't know if you get that in Oz. I don't know if you get that in.
Nah, you don't. Nah, you don't get any of that.
It's like you sort of you're walking onto the stage, you know, when to play, not just the field. And you know, that side of it's great. You know, it picks you up. You know, that it really does give you a boost. You think, right, I'm coming onto this field. They're happy I'm on the field. I'm going to make sure that I prove why they're happy, why they're excited. And then, you know, you get stuff from fans, and I think, yeah, you just got to understand. Although it may seem personal, and it can affect you, it's the same for a good thing. You know, it's like a supernova. It's like it's really strong in the moment. It really burns you in the moment, whether it's good or bad. But it moves on. The game moves on. There's the next game. There's the next moment, and you just got to make sure that, like Ashton said, you're focused on your job. You're focused on what you're doing, and almost try not to let that get into your head and affect you. Take the good from it, take the energy, which there can be some energy from, and just put that into your game and try not to worry about something that you can't control.
Hey, Ashton, you've played in at least 4 countries, you know, France, you know, the UK, Canada, Australia. Without sort of ranking them, just maybe compare the differences between them.
Yeah, well, Stevie touched on a pretty good point there. Look, in Australia, you probably get the bigger crowds. But in the UK, in England, there's so much more. There's a lot more atmosphere. Look, there's massive roars when good things happen in Australia, but you know that constant 80 minutes, the real gladiatorial element of it that the crowd, only the crowd in the UK bring. You know, singing song on song, and they all seem to be in sync. And when something happens, they're effing and jeffing about the ref, about the calls, and that's what it's about. And the one thing I do love about the UK is how close the dead ball lines are to the crowd. You can literally smell the gingivitis on some people's teeth. They're just, especially when you're standing back there at a dead ball line, they're ready to catch a ball. Look, one of my best memories is still one of probably my biggest highlight in my rugby league career was probably my lowest light as well, and that was playing against Wigan in the 2016 grand final at Old Trafford. And I got to walk out with my son. We did the national anthem. And then we went, and then it was time to kick off. But Wigan were kicking off to us, and towards the Wigan end. And I was the front rower, so I used to stand on that dead ball line. And the amount of energy, like negative energy, that was coming off the Wigan fans was absolutely brilliant for me, because it got me up for the game. Because I thought, right, all right, it's a dog eat dog world. We're ready to go here. This is war. This is time to go for it. And I love, to be fair, mate, I love the Wigan fans. Because they were so passionate about their club, about their culture, about their people. It represents who they are. That's why I love Warrington so much. What are we? We're, when I say we, I always, Warrington is my home away from home. We're a gritty blue collar town that made their success off the back of hard work and off the back of a real blue collar industry there with wire. And I got right into the Warrington culture, and I think the fans, that's what helped me get along with the fans. Is, look, again, I wasn't the most talented football player. I'm not going to make these big breaks and run for 70 metres and score these tries or do these mad steps or chip and chases, but I enjoyed the confrontation. I enjoyed getting gritty. That's the one thing I miss about rugby league now, is that confrontation, is the running the ball, is the tackling, is the little, me versus them mentality that you get. It's my body versus your body. It's my will versus your will. And I'm not going to give you an inch, and I don't expect you to give me an inch. So that was the big thing about the England and Australia. But the Canadian experience was just totally different to anything I'd experienced in my life. Look, it used to be like a bit of a party atmosphere every weekend. The beer garden would be full with thousands of people down there. There was just a really good vibe to the whole experience, and every single team that come over and played against us absolutely loved what we were about. And I really, I say it with a heavy heart because there was so much potential there in a couple of seasons ago, and obviously COVID come along and really sort of had an impact on the club's progression there. But now it's got a lifeblood. Now there's people who are back in the really important seats or important positions for this club in the Canadian and the CCCRL to take it to the next level, to provide rugby league to the masses. And the North American market is a market that needs to be tapped. I know it's been touched here and there in rugby league, but we need to throw some resources at it, and that's exactly what we're doing here. And I absolutely love what's going on. I've seen the business model. I've seen what it's about growing those grassroots, looking after the mental health and well-being of the players, providing a platform for rugby league to be shown to the masses in the North American market. It is a huge market and an untapped one at that. And there's a really good feeling around about this competition moving forward.
Hey, Stevie, let me ask you about the game day experience. As a player, did it matter to you? Did you notice it when you went to different stands? I think Leeds, I don't know if you were going to be playing because you're hurt, but I think Leeds was going to come to Toronto before the lockdown. Did you hear about the game day experience here, or were you looking forward to it?
Man, I was chomping at the bit to get over. I really were excited to get there. And it's just got such a glistening reputation. Everyone you speak to, the championship teams that went over, they'd come back and there'd be no one saying it was a rubbish experience. Everyone would be shouting about it. Everyone would be sort of talking about this aspirational environment, the amazing city, the people, the positivity. We've spoke about the both sides of it in the UK and Australia, but they spoke about the overroaring sort of positivity that you get from that crowd and the weather. And you talk about how cool the city was and the people, and it was something I was raring to get over and experience, and really disappointed when I found out that they won't be given another crack. And I think, if COVID hadn't have happened, I think it would be still going and still building. And we've just left with a bit of a period now where anticipating rugby league coming back to Toronto, back to Canada. And I think replicating that environment is going to be second to none in the success. And it's not just for the players, but also importantly for the families as well that are watching the games. That's such a big thing, and it seemed like it was such a home that was being built there. So I'm excited to see it sort of regenerate, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Go on, Ash. No, go on.
No. All I was going to say, and Steve, you hit on a really important point there. And one big thing that I love about Canadians and I love about the Torontonians is they just love for sport. They just love sport. They get on the back of it. If you represent their team, if you're representing the city, you're representing them, and they come out in their droves. We'd go past, we'd sort of go to some places for dinner and all that, and they used to come over and say, "Oh, you're the rugby guys. Yeah, we love what you guys are doing. We heard, so you're up at that Landport, are you? Yeah, right. We're going to come up. You playing on Saturday? Yeah, we're going to come up and watch you." And it doesn't matter what sport it is. Once you represent the city, the city looks after you, and that was one thing that that was very evident to me, was that real family vibe, family mentality, because that's what we were getting at the Toronto Wolfpack was, we look after our own, and certainly, the city is representation of that.
Hey, the one thing I know I mentioned it the last year, all the Australian guys had their families here, and it was nice. It was really nice to see all you guys with all your kids. It was a real family environment. Maybe Stevie asked you, are there plans to incorporate some of these things into CCRL game day experiences and maybe copy some of the things the Wolfpack did?
I think it's going to be such a great environment and atmosphere. The fact that it's a co-op, the fact that it is something which is going to be building at the same time. Every team's going to be linked to the league, going to be owned by the league. I think the same blueprint is definitely going to be put on for that game day experience, that game day atmosphere is going to be put on all around the country, all around all these different team environments. So you know that closeness that you can get. That was another thing that a lot of Torontonians have said. Look, it was so special because this was the first team for Toronto where they could approach players, they could speak to players, they could have the kids asking questions. And they were just a new game that's come to the city, which encompasses every facet of the community. And that's something which is so in our plans to implement as we go forward.
Okay, I'll get you guys out of here shortly. Ashton, maybe ask you a couple things. Do you remember the hardest you were hit in a professional setting? Was there a player that you were like, oh God, I gotta go against him?
Yeah, there was probably a couple, mate, to be honest. Early on in my career, I think it was literally, I would have been in single figures of probably my 6th or 7th game. We played a team, the Brisbane Broncos, and that's when they were at their best. They had guys like Shane Webke, Petro Civoniceva, Tony Carroll, all these guys, but they also had a guy by the name of Gordon Tallis. Now, Gordon Tallis' nickname was the Raging Bull, and as a sort of 18, 19-year-old, you want to sort of find out where the yardstick is there. And I remember sort of running across field a little bit and to just sort of feel a little bit of his power. And I think he drove me back and put me in about the 3rd or the 4th row. And I realised, you know, I've got to get my body a little bit more ready to steel myself for the NRL, because it's not, you know, I'm not playing against schoolboys anymore. I'm playing against grown men. And Gordon Tallis, I met him a few times after that, and he's always been a real gentleman. He's certainly a gentleman off the field, but on the field, he's an absolute monster. Some of the best, you know, some of the most aggressive players are all like that I can think of. You know, you got your Adrian Morleys, you've got your guys like Chris Hill, Paul Gallen. There's all these guys who are just, you know, once you get on that field, you know, you get that white line fever, but off the field, they're absolute gentlemen. And I think Petro Civoniceva, he's probably the top of the tree there. I got to do 2013 World Cup with Petro, and a true gentleman you'd never meet. But you wouldn't realise if once he gets on that field, he's literally out there to take your head clean off your shoulders. So that's the one good thing about rugby league. It's, you know, it's all war on the field, but after it, you know, you're the first one to buy each other a beer and have a bit of a laugh about what's happened.
Hey, Stevie, did you have, like, as a teenager coming in, did you have like a welcome to the RFL moment? Was there a nemesis or just like players that stood out to you?
I think there's a couple of moments that stand out to me. There were one time when Ben Murdoch-Masilla, I was playing left back row and he was playing right centre, and he got dropped off, so put back on the inside, running across me. And I had a weak shoulder because I was moving towards my left, and I went to hit him with my right, and he literally just went over the top of me. And it was the last minutes as well, and we were just drawing, I think. And he's just like a raging bull himself. He went over the top of my right shoulder, left me flipping on the floor, looking back, thinking it's going through here. Gone through, is more or less gone over the fullback, slid and scored a try right underneath the Warrington fans at our stadium. And that one moment, I'm like, he's done me. You know, that one moment where I'd put anything in the way to stop anyone, but I couldn't put enough in the way to stop him. And he's gone over and scored that try. And just another one as well that you wouldn't think, but Tommy Luluai for Wigan plays half-back for Wigan. He'd play right half-back and I'd play left-back row, and I'd get a few balls and I'd sort of go and show and go on him to sort of make sure that I can get up, play the ball quicker, and do a job for my team. But he just didn't take the show, and he's literally put his left foot towards me, didn't move, and just put this hardest shoulder right into my guts, and he's hit me, and I'm doing everything to sort of keep hold of the ball and not show that he's absolutely smashed me. He's done me. He's absolutely done me there, and I'm just thinking that puts into your mind. You think, am I ever going to pass or just not fanny around next time? And he must weigh 90 kilograms. I don't know, but one of the smallest guys on the field, but he can hit the hardest for sure that I've had.
Hey,
that just shows how pure, like, he was pure technique, wasn't he, Tommy Lulu? Oh, he is pure technique, man. You sometimes just get those guys who just have that real strong back, strong like glutes, and they can just drive you straight up your ribs. But But then also you get those big brutes, and I think of I wasn't obviously playing the game, but when the Bulldogs played, the Canterbury Bulldogs played Leeds Rhinos in the Challenge Cup, and Sonny Bill, he picked off Ryan Bailey, and then he picked off Marcus Bai, and I don't know if you've seen that footage, Rob, but oh my God, this was before shoulder charges were outlawed. So shoulder charges, they used to be in. It used to be like rugby league. This was only about 10 years ago, or 50, maybe a little bit longer. And rugby, it was just a free for all. And you could come in late, hit these big shots, and they've cleaned it all up now. But I'll tell you what, if you go through some of the biggest hits, or Sonny Bill's biggest hits, you'll see these ones against Leeds, and you'll just the squeaky bum time.
Hey, okay, Ash, I don't want to get you in too much trouble here, but I'm kind of amazed at some of the Pacific Islanders, just some of the most toughest, durable people you'll meet. If Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, maybe I'll throw New Zealand, if they all had a fight, who's winning?
If they all had a fight,
what island is producing the toughest guys? You're gonna say
I don't know, man. I'd always back my own Fiji, but I tell you what, it'd be one hell of a scrap, man. Some of the boys in Tonga, Samoa. Also, you talk about the Melanesian. You got the Papua New Guineans there as well, man. They're tougher than burnt sirloin too. So, oh man, and it's I'd have to back my own, mate. I'd have to go Fiji.
Obviously, there's a lot of like tough and hardworking towns in Northern England. Is there a town that just spits out some tough, hard as nails guys up there?
There's I mean, a lot of them are northern working class backgrounds. So sort of every team you go into, there's that grit, there's that resilience and that sort of hardiness that you're going to get. You turn up for every game and it's like there's that resolve. Wigan are sort of known for developing youngsters. Leeds are as well. Wigan more, they get the youngsters really hunting in packs. You just know that any Wigan youngster is going to be in that mindset, in that zone, to try and intimidate you, try and bit of clean stuff, bit of dirty stuff as well. But you'd know Wigan to be it. But there's this type of toughness as well. It's not just the fighting and the intimidation. There's a big sort of sense of toughness in rugby league. Is like Ashton said before, keep getting the whacks, but just keep on that same performance level. Keep taking more, keep dishing it out, and that's the proper toughness. That's the test of toughness, I think, in rugby league, which is those last 10 minutes in a game where it's been tooth and nail for the full game, but which side is gonna bear the nerves and bear the tiredness and the fatigue and the voice in your head saying, you are too tired to do this. Everyone's going to get that voice, but it's what you do to come up against it and keep going. I guess that's you literally are testing the capacity of being a human being. I think it would be for the last 10 minutes.
Sorry, mate, that's a clear indication between aggressive and toughness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone can come on for 5-10 minutes, be aggressive, race hell and go off. But it's the guys, in the back row, the locks, the people who play those 80 minutes who are making 55 tackles, who are making 20 hit-ups. Yeah. That's the definition of toughness to me. Toughness isn't coming on and doing a cheap shot or slipping a cheap shot in every now and then. Man, anyone can do that, but not everyone can play 80 minutes. Again, 40 tackles, 20 hit-ups, 150 metres, 2 or 3 offloads. And in those last 5 minutes, making that cover tackle that just saves your mate's bacon, saves your mate's ass, saves the try, saves the game. That's the definition of toughness for sure.
Even the players, that like you do in rugby league, you do the spot sets is probably the most coined term, but it's where you target a player to run at and just keep running at them to either tire them out because they're good offensively, so they're not got much energy in offense, or because they're a weak spot. But you sometimes do that, and you see players that gain energy from being that person that you're trying to tire out. And I remember us doing that with Darryl Clark when he won Man of Steel, 2014, I think. And he just kept going. He just kept going. And you're in the 75th minute, you're going, right, he's still coming here. He's a good player and he's flipping tough as well. That's sort of like a real test, I think, of players and character as well.
And he is genuine tough, mate. Daz Clark, look, he comes from a very, very tough background, very tough upbringing, and he's used those hard times to be something in life. And it's a testament to who he is. It's a testament to his resilience, his resolve, his perseverance through adversity. Because that is a true meaning of resilience. He's persevering through adversity and not giving up. But understanding that you don't have to persevere alone. Understand there are people around you who can help you through some of those tough times. And look, I think from a selfish point of view, I'd love to see Daryl Clark come over here to the NRL and play over here, because I think he'd be an absolute phenomenon. I'm not sure if anyone watched the Bulldogs game last week, but Luke Thompson probably had the best game of any lock, any loose forward here in the NRL this season. He was an absolute bull. He's on fire. And I know there's a lot of Englishmen over there who can make that transition to the NRL. And obviously I don't want to take too much talent out of the Super League there, because I want, the Super League to strengthen as much as it can, because at the end of the day, man, I love my time in the Super League, and I love rugby league in general, and I want to see rugby league flourish all over the world. And that's why I love what you guys are doing here with the CCCRL, is, you're providing that platform to find those people, to give them a little bit of hope through sport in life.
We'll have them in Canada, mate. That's where they can come.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to kind of wrap you up. Ash, you mentioned that some of the toughest guys are the nicest guys off the field. And I've always found this. You find this in boxing and guys that fight, and, they're just exhausted and they leave there. They got all their anger out of their system. So obviously you can't take too many hits, but it does seem healthy, doesn't it, to kind of get in there and mix it up. It does kind of calm people, doesn't it? And you do find the toughest guys sometimes the most polite.
Absolutely, and it's like a bit of a release for a lot of people as well. Look, I think I mentioned it before, and I don't sound like a broken record, but the one thing I miss about rugby league is the confrontation. I'm not just saying it to try and sound tough, but I miss that sort of, me versus them mentality, my will versus your will. No, you don't give me an inch, I won't give you an inch. That's probably the one thing I do miss, and obviously the camaraderie that you get from playing with, with 30 of your mates. There's nothing like it. And look, you don't have to be best friends with everyone, but if you're fighting towards a common goal, and you can sit there at the end of the game and have a beer with each other and just give each other the nod and know that you've put everything that you can into that game for that win, there's no feeling like it. It's a dopamine hit, man. It's something else that not a lot of people get to experience, and it's something that I'll always cherish, because I'm a very, and myself and Stevie, we're a very small minority of kids growing up. I was that kid who used to play rugby league at 5, 6 years old with no shoes on, because I'm proud to say I come from a low socioeconomic background, so times were tough, growing up, but using those tough times, not at that victim mentality, but use it as motivation to be something, to be someone. And I look back on, growing up in childhood, we didn't have TV for large parts of my childhood, but what we did have, we had rugby league, we had music, we had cricket in the summer, footy in the winter, surfing all year round. And I'm so thankful for being brought up like that, because money was a materialistic thing that I didn't need. And look, a lot of people, a lot of my mates still call me a tight ass now, and I suppose I am to a degree, because I know what it's like to not have money. And I don't need to buy the £100 shirts or £200 jeans, because I've got a pair of jeans that I bought in England in my closet here behind me that I think I've only worn 3 or 4 times. So I'm not going to go and buy another pair of jeans. So I'm a very easygoing, I'm a very meat and potatoes kind of guy. And but rugby league, at the end of the day, rugby league doesn't owe me anything. I owe rugby league everything, because it's the man who I've become today. My values, my morals come from my parents, but rugby league certainly galvanised that over the years.
How often do you wear socks? How many pairs of socks do you own?
Who? Me?
Actually, yeah.
No, I'm an earther, bro.
There you go. I will still walk around Toronto, and I'll hear people tell me where you guys lived about all the buff rugby league players tanning on the sidewalk. It's always
nothing like a bit of coconut oil and a little bit of UV rays, my man.
No surfing. No surfing, no.
I'll die young because of skin cancer, but I'll die happy.
Okay, maybe last thing for you, Stevie. Anything else you got to say, or what are you doing? You say you're surfing. What are you doing to kind of replace that little competitiveness that you're lacking or you don't get anymore?
Yeah, mate. Just off the back of that, I think is the game is hard to leave behind. But the biggest thing that I miss is that man that you are when you play the game. Testing yourselves consistently every week. You're testing yourself. You're finding more about yourself. You're feeling proud about your efforts. That's something that I'm having to replace through the work with mentality. The daring to go further with mentality, the daring to lead and to learn more. That's the vehicle that I've got at the minute, which is doing its job. And I can be happy that I left literally everything on the field. I'm only 27, I've retired, but I think I'm probably the most reckless and biggest risk taker in my team for several years. That's probably good because I made more tackles and probably pushed my ass for the team, but also I probably picked up quite a few injuries, and that's just who I became to be, I think. So it's just now I'm just doing the work with the CCCRL, doing the work with mentality to challenge men to be the version of themselves when they look in the mirror. And that's, talking about mental health is in sort of many aspects similar to the league, that you're daring to do something that not many people would do, and I'm learning all the time. So that's my life, and that's where I'm at the minute, and hopefully, the daring to take the next steps of the CCCRL brings something for myself, but also for the whole of Canada and rugby league, which I think is needed.
Well, you said you're only 27. It's hard to believe because you are wise beyond your years, and I'm sure the CCRL is happy to have you. And both you guys, Ashton, I'm not sure how much you're going to do with us, but Ashton is a great guy, as I mentioned, on and off the field, just a champion off the field. So thank you guys both for doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
Cheers, guys. Thanks,
Cheers, Rob. Thanks for having us, man. Anytime.
Yeah, I'll get over there one day, hopefully soon. We're allowed.
Yeah.
To Australia.
To Australia, I'd love to.
Open arms, man.
Yeah. Great. No shirt on and open arms.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a big reef oil, sun oil fucking hug.
Mate, UK is ready for you. Anytime you want to come to UK, mate. We've had a bit of sun last few days, so
I've heard that. I've seen that. Yeah.
Heat wave, mate, is probably flipping nothing for you guys over there. But when we do get it, everyone goes, "Oh, this is too much. This is too much."
I love, mate. I used to love that in the UK when people walk around with no shirt and jeans on. You used to think, "Oh shit!" They must have thought this morning, "Oh, it's a bit cold this morning. I better rug up." But then they're like, "No, I'm going to take it all off."
They used to have those pants that you could zip off. You remember those? You could take the pants off and zipper them, and they make
like the old basketball ones, the old rip, old rip ones when they run on the court.
Okay, I don't know if we're still recording here. Anyway, that was great, guys. We'll do something like this again.